Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to my first formal toy review on my second channel, EcksToo. For those who are perhaps stumbling upon me and my channel for the first time, my name is EckhartsLadder. I run a Star Wars channel over at youtube.com/EckhartsLadder. This, EckToo, is my second channel. I'm really going to start branching out very soon as I start to get ahead on my actual work for EckhartsLadder. I'm going to start devoting more time to the second channel. One thing that I'm really looking forward to is toy reviews. I'd like to do toys, Lego, perhaps even video games, movies, anything of that sort. So down in the comments, let me know what you guys would like to see, and that's what I'll try to focus on and try to make connections for and try to get review copies of in the future. On that note, today we are talking about the two new droids from Sphero, specifically R2-D2 and BB-9E, two droids that we'll be seeing action in The Last Jedi. Previously, Sphero has released a BB-8 remote-controlled droid, which I actually had and I've had for a couple of years now. I think that must have came out in December of 2015, and I've had it since then. This review, however, is only going to be focused on the two new droids because there are some fairly serious differences. My review format is going to be kept pretty simple, and in the future, once I actually get a proper camera, it's most likely just going to be me talking to you guys with the occasional image up in the front, and I'll be holding and talking about the thing that I'm reviewing. Today, however, I'm going to go through the good of the droids, the bad of the droids, and then whatever's neutral, and then at the end I will kind of come to a final conclusion, give you guys my overall thoughts, and perhaps some sort of score, though I'm really not sure about that. So yes, there's two droids here, R2-D2, of course, who we all know and love, and BB-9E, also known by Rian Johnson, director of The Last Jedi, as BB-8, and his name or his nickname is that because he's essentially going to be the First Order's version of BB-8. The first thing I noticed when I looked at these droids is just the amount of detail that they have, and I think this is probably most notable with R2-D2. He lights up in all the places that you'd expect, his legs move like you'd expect them to, his third leg comes down and he can move either in standing mode or in his rolling mode, and really just an impressive level of detail, really far surpassing what we saw with BB-8. One of the things that I already mentioned was the lights. These droids light up in a way that BB-8 didn't quite light up. BB-9E lights up from the inside, he's got kind of an internal glow to him, while R2-D2 lights up in his little panels, and of course his little circles on the front and the back of his head. These droids aren't created equally though, and that's reflected by the price difference. So you'll have to keep that in mind. I think R2-D2 for you American buyers will be about $20 to $30 more expensive, depending on whether you can get them on sale. The price difference will be even more significant, most likely, for any Canadian buyers. So the first positive quality, as I said, is just the build detail. On R2-D2, another thing that I really like is that his head moves independently of his body, and you can either just leave him to do his own thing and he'll move his head around and not necessarily move around it with his body, or you can control each aspect of the droid on your own. The same can't be said for BB-9E. He basically operates the same way BB-8 did. You point him in a general direction or you let him move in a general direction, and his head kind of just goes along for the ride. Another huge difference, especially for the R2-D2 model, is that he actually has built-in sound. With BB-8 and now with BB-9, the sound only comes from your actual smartphone, which you use to control the droid. R2-D2 actually has an internal speaker and plays really high quality sounds. It adds a lot to the experience in my opinion. R2-D2 is also much easier to control. With the two ball droids, it's kind of hard to picture where they're going. They move very quickly, which is fun in and of itself, but with R2-D2 you get a bit more realistic droid motion. Another small note when we look at details is that BB-9E, unlike the previous BB-8, doesn't have small antennas on the top of his head. And this is actually a good thing because my BB-8 lost those antennas almost immediately, especially if you have animals or you're putting him through his paces, those things are gonna fall off. The other small detail that I really like is that the casing and the packaging is very simple. They give you a fairly high quality micro USB cable, which I found surprising. I thought that they would just assume that most people have smartphones or some other technology requiring micro USB, but they actually give you your own cable, and it's quite nice. It's very nicely threaded, so that's a benefit there. However, by now, if you guys are seeing where I'm focusing most of my praise, you can probably also get an idea of the things that I'm less happy about. This droid excels as something you put on your desk or on a shelf because it's just got so much detail and it looks so pretty. However, on the other hand, what I find to be a bit lacking is the actual play potential, how much fun the thing is. Sure, you can drive the droids around, but that will only be fun for so long. They have some other modes too. There's an AR mode where you can look at some of the new ships in The Last Jedi, but that's fairly limited. You can also have the droids watch a movie with you, and I did this with Rogue One. There's only, I think, 3 movies out now: Rogue One, Episode 7, and A New Hope. Rogue One was pretty fun. I couldn't tell exactly how much the droids were contextually reacting to what happened. For a lot of the time, BB-9E kind of stood behind R2-D2, and they were sort of watching the movie, although at the end when Princess Leia showed up, R2-D2 did kind of give a happy squeal, and at other points, like during the Battle of Sphero, BB-9E seemed to be more excited. He kind of zoomed around the living room a bit. So it's kind of fun, but I mean, it's not ultimately something that you're going to be doing over and over again. That's especially true because you have to leave your smartphone open during the movie, and if you're like me and you're watching a movie that you've seen maybe 30 times, like with Rogue One, you might want to be doing something else, or you might just want to have it on as background noise, but I'm sure it's something the kids would love. The droids also have an explore function, which is okay, but in my experience, they more or less kind of got stuck on the couch over and over again. This review is becoming a bit less structured than I anticipated, but that's fine. I do want to hop back over to positives for a second. The droids have a lot of personality. R2-D2, when he's just on his own, he's moving around, he's making whirring noises, he's moving from 2 feet to 3 feet. It's all very cute. Even BB-9E will roll around a little bit, make little movements. It's very, very good, and it's a big improvement over the previous model. So I guess along with just the pure aesthetic value of the droids, the little personality you have when they're turned on is also pretty good. But then we look back at the negatives, and we have the app. The app is certainly not lightweight. It takes a while for it to load up, it can't run in the background or in windowed mode, at least on Android, and it's the only way you can actually control the droid. When the droid is off, he's unresponsive, they don't do anything, so you really have to have the app on to have fun with them, unless you're just looking at them. Personally, as much fun as they are, unless I had kids, I just can't see myself going back to the app again and again, especially when there's no real key feature bringing me back. I understand why they didn't go this route, but it would have been nice if it had used some sort of controller instead of your smartphone, but I'm sure that would have increased the price quite drastically. The only other criticisms I have are very, very minor. BB-9E's head falls off all the time, especially if he's going over rough terrain, but I mean, it pops back on very easily, it's just a magnet, so that's really no problem. On a similar note, my dogs were not a huge fan of these toys, although I'm sure you could very easily socialize them together, which is kind of a funny thing to say about a droid, and that's really not a major issue. The battery life is also fine. I mean, I didn't do any formal tests, but it didn't seem to be crazy right home to mom about, but it wasn't on the crazy low side either, and you can charge your devices very easily. With all that being said, let's now give a brief summary, and this is also where I'm going to pull people in from my other video. The R2-D2 and BB-9E Sphero droids are a fairly significant increase in quality over the previous BB-8 model. That being said, the functions of the product and the most attractive features remain the same. If you're buying this droid, it's most likely not going to last as a toy. What it is, however, is a very nice, very aesthetically pleasing, and very detailed model that could easily find a place in your home office or even your living room. Ultimately, the features and the ability to play are a nice improvement. In particular, one thing I liked is that each of the droids now have quick commands, so you can click a button, R2-D2 will spin around, or make a happy sound, or fall over. It's a whole lot of fun. However, I think most adults will ultimately turn this on and play with it for a few times and then not return to it. That's especially true where control of the droid relies on an app instead of some form of external controller. That being said, I think that that's okay just because of how high quality these models actually are, but if I were going to choose one of the two, I would definitely choose R2-D2. He's got a lot more functionality, he can move his head independently of his body, and he's got that third leg which he can extend. The coolest thing about BB-9E is that his movement is so innovative, but especially if you're going to have them sitting on a shelf, I think you definitely want R2. These two droids have a lot of personality, they're very, very well made, and I am happy that I got them. So I'm not going to give a formal rating, but my recommendation is this. If you want the droids for something to look at and something that will look nice on your mantle, go for it. If you're expecting to have a whole lot of fun with them, I'm just going to warn you that you might get bored fairly quickly. Finally, if you're like me and you have dogs, get the R2-D2. It will save you a lot of heartache. The BB-9E head falls off very easily, and my dogs like to take it and bite on it, and one of these days, if I'm not careful, they will swallow it. So go with R2-D2, and really, he's the better droid overall, at least in my opinion. If you've gotten this droid, let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm also going to post some Amazon affiliate links, so if you want to support the channel, feel free to click those and consider buying one or both of the droids. Until next time, this has been EckhartsLadder. As always, may the Force be with you.